So this Fedge is approximately 2 years old now. It was put in during lockdown, towards the end of lockdown, and you can still see at the base the framework it was put in on diagonals against upright posts. But as the years have gone on, it's been random woven in to create a very solid, very thick wall, Fedge, whatever you want to call it. So today's job basically is to start trimming and cutting it back, to use some of the uprights to replant for new growth where we need it, and to tidy it up in general and stop it catching the postman every time he walks down the path. So number one job, keep the postman happy. So if I've got a bald spot or a little bit where I want a bit more willow growing from the bottom end, I've got plenty of top growth here that I can choose from to replant down into the bottom. So before we do any trimming, before we do any cutting or weaving, I'm going to have a look and choose quite a strong withy to work with. And I'm looking at this one. I think this one will do me nicely. I'm cutting off any of the little bits of faff kicking round. And then what I'm wanting to do is to cut it onto a sloping cut. So just a sloping cut with your secateurs. That can then get pushed through your withies and through your Fedge all the way down to the bottom. And obviously I could choose a lot longer and a lot stronger one if I wanted, but I'm looking at getting it out of the other end. And it's coming, and it's down here. Now the advantage of pushing it through is it self-weaves. So I've got it down to here, and then now all I'm going to do to plant it is to find a little bit of earth and to push it in. And I'm pushing it in approximately 6 inches. Nice good soil here, it's well mulched as well. So that's my new rod, and if I needed a replacement rod or needed to thicken a gap up, then I could do that with multiple rods down my Fedge. Here I don't really need any, so I'm going to trim back, or I'm going to weave in the remaining ones. You'll occasionally find pockets of dead bits that you might be bothered by. I generally come to the conclusion that if I can get at it easily and it's only a small bit, I tend to trim it off. But some of these are more structural and in more with the weaving. So if you cut too many of them out, you can find that you end up with bald spots. So I've trimmed quite a lot out here and ended up with a bit of a dip and a gap. Now it may be that some of these weave in, and you can weave from the back and weave across to fill some of this in. There's not obviously anything that's going to go straight across there. This one might a little bit, but it's not very dominant, it's not very strong. So it's just something to keep an eye on, that you know, you do need to trim, but trim with a view that you don't want big holes in your Fedge, and they won't often always fall in that direction, so it's not always that you've got a weaver that will come in that space there. Also take out anything that's looking a little bit diseased or a little bit manky, for want of a better Yorkshire term, and again carry on trimming, carry on weaving till you've got that desired roll at the top and you've filled in across the way. So as you look down the length of the Fedge, you'll see that I've got some quite nice big hoopy sections. I like it like that. These could be tighter, but what I'm trying to maintain is that sort of top ridge of my Fedge, and I don't want it to get too wide, so don't have these too loopy. So if you look back at this one, this is particularly loopy and it's sticking out to the side, so I'm going to pull this one in a little bit more so it falls in line a little bit better. So here we have the Fedge completed. You might be wondering why I've left the thornless blackcurrant on the left hand side. I'm saving that for Christmas tree wreaths, so I will cut all of that back, and I will cut out all of the bits intertwining and weed as well at the bottom. But it's a cold day up here in Yorkshire and it's about to start raining, so I think it's time for a cup of tea. But there you go, weaving in an unruly Fedge. I'm doing this in November. This could be done any point from leaf off right up to spring, but I like to get it done now, and then I don't have to come out in the cold of January, February to do it. It also means that if I've got any large pieces stuck up and out the top, that I can cut and trim them off and use them for wreath making if I don't use them to plant in at the bottom.